Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 1054. We're not doing retakes. I am Steven in L.A.
Erika in L.A. Isn't it usually at Gallifrey One?
It changes. It changes. And
Chip and Gallifrey One.
you can say it whatever you want. It's fine.
This is a loosey-goosey.
This is very loosey-goosey. Listen, we used to do this all the time, loosey-goosey. We're at the at a table underneath not a gazebo. Is it a gazebo? Is it a...
It's like a roof
pagoda?
pavilion-ish,
Yeah.
sort of. I don't know.
By the pool, anyway.
Yeah, so if you hear splashing in the background...
or airplanes going overhead, or non-clearable music in the background from the various speakers dotting around the pool area, that's where we're recording. Because it's, as we're going, 26 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that means for you, Chip. 80?
79.
79 and feeling fine. So hence the pool side. I almost thought we should do them on neighboring day beds.
Just lounge in the sun.
It's been nice.
It has been nice.
I think you might have had to edit out the sound of snoring because
Yes, that's true.
Because we've been going hard for a slightly less crowded convention. We have been going hard for the last 2 days.
It is a little. I mean, it's full but not crowded. I think that's probably the what I take away from it.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It never felt like there were vast, barren wastelands of space that I could just wander through with my arms spread wide.
No, thankfully.
But I didn't feel like I was hunching my shoulders to try to snake through a ginormous crowd of people, which has happened some years.
Yeah.
No, but when I've been going through this convention, I have never not felt like I was at Gallifrey One or that it was not a normal Gallifrey One. I'm
Yes.
missing some people, but it's a good convention, and it is it has been very convention-y.
And
Yeah.
very galley-y.
The spirit is definitely still here.
Absolutely.
For those of you wondering, I mean, we didn't have any hassles at the border going. We had fewer hassles, if anything.
Yeah, it was very,
Erika
very
and I.
fast. Like, where are you going? Okay, have a good time.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
super quick. Although you, me, Mike Doran, and one other person I've met are the only Canadians
Yes.
that I've seen down here this year. At least, it's anecdotal evidence, you understand. But
Yeah.
More people from the UK than from Canada.
Yeah.
Significantly.
and I think even the UK, I think there's
I feel like that's less too, but I feel like Canada has been directly wronged
Yeah.
in a way that the UK
Yeah.
has not.
Yeah, I feel like tickets were bought in better times and left basically on the table and decided not to travel to use them is kind of what I'm getting. As we say though, still all the panels I was at and hosted were well attended.
Yeah, nothing actually felt remarkably emptier, except for maybe like the real big panels were maybe not quite as shoulder to shoulder as. But I mean,
Even then, I think like the Stephen Moffat or the Jodie Whittaker, I think are the Eccleston one probably were the
those are special. Those are different.
ones. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For Freema Agyeman and Millie Gibson, the big ballroom A was full. It
Yeah.
was full.
It was-
You could find empty seats here and there, but you weren't wasting space. The whole room was being utilized.
yeah, there were people in every row.
Yeah, I thought so too. What should we talk about? The convention itself, we were here the whole week.
Maybe we should start with what we did before the convention.
I think we should, because since we all went there eventually, we went to the superb Doctor Who Worlds of Wonder exhibit at the Comic-Con Museum. You and I, Erika, went on the Tuesday.
Stephen's birthday.
My birthday. Ship eventually went down on the Thursday.
Eventually.
When it was open.
I am so angry.
What I am angry about, Chip, is that I forgot to tell you this whole time that, wait, it's closed on Wednesdays, because I Googled that months ago and looking what to do when we got here early.
So for explanation's sake, for the listener, I purchased my ticket in advance on the Comic-Con website. You press a button, it goes to their ticket vendor, whatever. And I purchased a ticket for Wednesday, February 4th. Now, the non-ticketing, the regular Comic-Con website, it does have hours listed on it, but not anywhere obvious or prominent. It is sort of in a disused lavatory with a sign that says, "Beware the leopard" on it. So I get friends, Nathan and Lee from Pixel Who, to go down with me on the Wednesday. And we had a very lovely drive down, and we had lunch with Heather Berberet of Free the Squee and various other incomparable podcasts and such. And then we drive to the Comic-Con Museum, and it literally has a "Sorry, we're closed" sign on the door. Morale was low.
So sad.
But you were not to be deterred, though, Chip.
I was full of spite and drove down again on the Thursday and saw that which you had seen on the Tuesday.
Which compelled you to dig out of the archives the old 2MTL feed to do a podcast about it.
I found the password and everything.
Wow. Obviously, it affected you visiting that museum to help find your love again for Doctor Who.
Yeah. This entire convention week, whatever, has been an exercise for me in literally reconnecting with the show. If you haven't listened to 2 Minute Time Lord, I released a whopping 2 episodes in 2025.
Astounding.
One of them was after Galley 2025, saying nice things about Radio Free Skaro, and the other one was about episode 1 of season 2. And then I'd been doing the Doctor Who Flashcast on the Incomparable Network with Erika and Jason Snell, and that was as much as I wanted to do to talk about Doctor Who, because the show wasn't hitting for me.
Yeah.
And so taking a pause from the show and the uncertainty and the gloom that we've all been talking about, well, is Doctor Who coming into a rest period and all that stuff. So I would come to Gallifrey One anyway for all of the people that I love here, but I was really intentional about, can I find my love for the show again?
Yeah.
And then I go around a corner at the museum, and there are Jodie Whittaker's roundels on the walls.
Right.
I mean,
actual roundels, not reproductions. Actual roundels. Newsflash: Doctor Who's a great experience and a great show, and I love it. Me too. I mean, any cynical bone in my body was shattered upon entry. What about you?
It was so fun to just, like Chip says, walk around the corner and see something. I felt like I was visiting old friends. I turned a corner and there's K9, and it's just like, oh, my old buddy. And then there's a room full of monsters, and I was just sort of agog, turning the corner to see like all of this stuff around, and then I noticed in a tiny little box there's a cybermat, and I squealed and ran over to it and started taking pictures, and then I noticed that there's a little lever sticking out at the bottom of the little glass case, and you move the lever and it moves the cybermat tail, and I immediately yelled at Steven to come over so he could move the little lever so I could take a video of it moving.
You became a cybermat puppeteer.
He was a cybermat puppeteer, yes. And we had seen some of these things before because we went to the Doctor Who experience when it was in Cardiff. So there's a lovely display of all the Doctor's costumes on mannequins spread out, and it's just like that is a kind of an overwhelming and emotional sight to just see it. Like, these are all of the Doctors. So we had seen some of them before, but it covers parts of 3 walls, and at the very end of the second wall is where that was the last that I had seen previously. Yeah. And then we have like the 14th Doctor and Jodie and the 15th Doctor. And it was just like, there's an entire wall that was new to me. And it was really fun. And we got to have Mark Gatiss, like, you know, there are videos of him shepherding us through this experience and talking about the science of the show and comparing it to real world science. And I mean, that was very cool. I was mostly there for the nerd stuff, like the in-world nerdy stuff as opposed to the real-world nerdy stuff.
Yeah. There was an elderly couple and their, I presume, daughter about my age going through the museum. And they were clearly going through all the museums in Balboa Park. There was not an indication that these had... and so I come around the corner after the Doctor's Costumes exhibit, and they're looking probably at K9, and they turn and look at me and say, "This is all fascinating. Do you know anything about Doctor Who?"
Oh, boy.
And I had met my moment. 45 minutes later, no. I edited it very carefully. As I said, it's been around since the 60s. It came back in 2005, and the last 2 seasons are on Disney Plus. And I was like, that was my type 5 right there.
Right. Nice work. Wow.
Well done.
Well done, Chip. That took remarkable restraint.
Yep. Whereas for us,
I'm used to short speeches.
Whereas for us, we were in one of the rooms, and suddenly 2 young women come over to us and say, "It's really surreal to be at a Doctor Who museum experience." And suddenly there's Stephen Shapansky. So shout out to listeners Sarah and Amy.
Yeah.
We had a nice little chat there because we were not the only galley goers that trekked down on the Tuesday. Even.
Yeah. They're extending it to December, which sadly does not encompass next year's Gallifrey One, but they are also doing a bit of a refresh in the spring, in May. For those of you planning on going down, I recommend it. It was, sometimes I get cynical myself, Chip, perhaps, about just Doctor Who. Thinking, we've seen this before, some of the stuff we had seen in the Doctor Who experience, but just to see it in a new way and just, the way it was presented, the way you just sort of walk through a journey like that, it was lovely. I really enjoyed it.
And without going into spoiler territory, the very end of the exhibit, there is a video montage, and if you're a Doctor Who fan, none of it will be new to you, and yet... Yeah, and yet, I had feels when certain characters showed up.
It's a lovely little montage of clips. I really want to point out one thing, though, from that montage.
Right.
And maybe it's a little spoilery that I will tell you 2 things that appeared in it. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. It's long. It's wonderful. But there is a clip of Jodie Whittaker's doctor saying goodbye to Ada Lovelace as she's like putting her to sleep as she wiped her memory.
Yep.
And immediately after that, the very next clip is Jodie Whittaker's doctor talking to Nikola Tesla and letting him keep his memories. I feel like whoever edited that had the same feelings I did about those 2 episodes and putting them right next to each other. Whoever edited that, I salute you if it was on purpose, and even if it wasn't. I was like, I had to sit there and watch it around twice to make sure I had not misread that. Nope, they're right next to each other.
Yep, they were saying something without saying something.
I felt like that. Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Anything left on the San Diego excursions that we went on?
Absolutely worth going to it if you are at all proximate to San Diego over the rest of the calendar year.
Yeah. For those of you not used to driving the I-5, it's a long road of concrete to get to San Diego that does not vary much in tone, basically.
Yeah. So it's not a hard drive. It's just
I have no familiarity with that drive whatsoever.
Having done it 4 times. Although, Chip, I will say, when you mention on your podcast, 2MTL, where you took the Pacific Coast on one of the ways back, one of your 4 journeys down
the last round.
The last one, you stopped by a place called Cardiff by the Sea, and back in 2003, I went on a personal road trip myself and emerged a better person at the end of it. And one of the places I stopped for about a week and just camped at a campground on the beach was at Cardiff by the Sea. I even wrote a song about it when I was traveling down there. So it's lovely that you and I had similar sort of moments of rebirth at Cardiff by the Sea, separated by decades.
Yeah, we've had so much. Stephen, you and I have had so much in common this weekend. Expensive drinks and everything.
So we discovered that the bar downstairs during events is more expensive than we thought, even though the prices are right there. We could have looked, but we did not, Chip. What did we learn?
We learned that 42 is not just an important number in the Douglas Adams lexicography. Yeah, whatever. Easy for me to say.
That's true.
But it's also what a double Johnny Walker costs.
Yep. American, too. So thank you, Chip, for that.
Thank you for mine.
Yeah, thank you. I am, I'm sorry that you were obviously not a part of any official RFS on stage celebrations this weekend, because of course we didn't do a show, and as you can tell, Chris and Warren aren't here. How did you feel? I had a 10 a.m. on Friday panel, so just to sort of scratch that itch, so to speak. How did you feel not being there? Because I felt a little lost without you up there, I got to tell you.
I love everything about this convention. I love being a behind-the-scenes part and an occasional stage part of Radio Free Skaro, and it doesn't feel right that Warren and Chris aren't here. But it also doesn't quite feel right that Radio Free Skaro wasn't a part of the festivities, and I know that the Gallifrey One team needed to go in a different direction this weekend. It's all fine. I did hear at least one person saying spreading dark conspiracies about where Radio Free Skaro is, but I do hope that things work out, that we'll be back in action in future years. But if not, just you being on the stage, just interviewing and doing some great interviews.
Thank you.
Everything still felt like home. I just didn't have to worry about getting things plugged in and sounds working.
Right. Welcome to your 1 year off, basically. Hopefully just 1 year. I'd love to do it again.
I made it to the dealer's room when it opened.
Oh my
I've never
God.
done that before.
Wow, tell us what that experience was like.
Expensive.
And more than a double shot of Johnny Walker, too, I shouldn't wonder.
Yeah. Specific shout out to the aforementioned Nathan and Lee and pixelwho.com. I think they've been doing great business this weekend, and they've got some lovely stuff. Their art is magnificent.
I love it.
Great.
Yeah, they're always at the back wall of the dealer's room every single year. They've sort of staked their claim there for several years. Yeah,
the vast majority of their stuff is obviously Doctor Who related, but I did get K-pop Pixel Hunters art just to make sure that my marriage is maintained.
Wise. You're a wise man, Chip.
Yes, as Chip mentioned, I was on stage probably a lot more than usual in this Gallifrey One. I had 5 main stage interviews and then 2 panels, which we just wrapped today. So I feel like I will monopolize, because I'm the only one of the 3 of us that was actually on panels and interviews. But what panels did you two see, perhaps the Friday or just over? We're not going to go chronologically through all this, but
I went to everything that you did. And then some. But you did a lot, and I wanted to be there to support you and to watch you do your thing.
Right.
So that was a lot of paneling, and I mean, I have health issues such that it depends on from year to year how much can I do. I have to pace myself, and I've actually been feeling quite good this year, so I was able to go to a lot more things. I think your panels, your interviews, which you will talk about, I hope.
Yeah, I will.
Went very well. It was really fun. That. One of the things I love the best, just thinking back to any galley, is sitting with a crowd of friends, potentially you on stage, or Riley on stage, or Amanda Ray Prescott on stage. Somebody that I know doing a great interview and having one of those moments where something ridiculous happens and everybody just hoots and hollers with laughter.
Right.
Like Millie talking about having to learn how to walk like a 40-year-old, which, more than half the audience probably was crumbling to dust at that moment. That was not her thing. She was being told that she needed to learn to walk like a 40-year-old. Please don't take it out on Millie. But yeah, just the camaraderie of a shared experience being in the same place was just really fun. And I got to see, so other than yours, I saw Riley Silverman interviewing.
Say names of characters. Describe people.
Oh my God,
got a book right here. There's a book right there that we haven't looked at.
I got to see Riley on stage interviewing. There were like 5, 6, 7 people on stage.
Yeah, it was the newcomers to Gallifrey One.
It was all the people who had never been to Galley before, and they were there as guests.
Yeah,
and I always get, it doesn't matter who is moderating a panel, I get secondhand anxiety when those things start because there's so many plates to keep spinning. She did such a good job. Every single person on that panel got a chance to shine, got a chance to talk, and she had just like really relevant questions and follow-up questions for everybody. It wasn't like, here's your question, next. So it really flowed, and I appreciate it very much when an interviewer can manage that and manage to keep the flow of the panel going. And, I learned things about these actors that I didn't really know. And I mean, I wasn't even sure looking at all of them, and they weren't even all actors, but looking at all of them, like what they had done or what they had been in. So that came across really nicely in the interview. So it was a great time.
Yeah, it's literally like spinning plates that you have to keep them all spinning, and you can see one wobble, which means you haven't talked to that person for a little bit, so you have to get over there and spin that one again. And then Riley did a great job at it. Yeah,
she did. If I can steer slightly less meta and talking about the guests themselves, and your interviews and Amanda's and Riley's and all that stuff, they were the gateway for me to see, in particular, Freema Agyeman and Millie Gibson in an entirely different light.
Yes.
Freema, this was her second galley after, 13 years?
13.
Yeah.
And she's 20 years removed from the role. And Freema is whip smart, experienced, calmly assertive.
Yep.
Still fantastic memories of her time on the show, while having the distance and the perspective to be honestly critical about some aspects of what was done with her story arc, et cetera, and so on. So she was amazing. She did talk a lot about her experience at Sense8 on her first interview, which is a show that is near and dear to my heart. And I did get to... That was my first autograph experience ever at Galley, was getting an autographed picture from Freema. And
no way.
And I didn't talk about Doctor Who with her. I talked about Sense8, and she bubbled about that.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. I could watch her speak for hours. I mean, I actually went to both of her interviews, so I got to see Amanda Ray Prescott interview her, and then you, Stephen. And I really liked that both of those interviews, there was a tiny bit of overlap, but they both each had their own distinctive vibe, and I just felt like she has a handle on the industry after being in it for so long, that the way she talked about things was very eloquent, and she talked about the craft of it as well as the industry, as well as from a character perspective. Like she really tied it all in, which was just lovely. And I don't remember 13 years ago, but I feel like it was fun, but not this deep in terms of all of those things.
Oh, I'm blanking on the name of the actress who played her mother.
Angela Ando.
Yes. And Freema talking about the lessons that she had learned from her on the set.
Yeah.
And how she took them with her into the rest of her career. Good stuff.
Yeah, she was a delight. I had interviewed her 13 years ago, both at Gallifrey One and then later that year in Chicago TARDIS. And I'd said this story before about how she had such a good time that she sought me out in the regular hallways to thank me for the interview, which was very nice. She didn't have to do that. But I remember that, obviously, because she was nice. And I was wondering, sitting backstage, how am I going to bring this up that we've talked before? Because
you want to make her comfortable.
A little bit. And I'm sitting in the chair. Freema comes in and literally just looks at me and just points. I know you. she recognized me instantly. And that's not to say, like, that's not a big up on me. That's on her being such a kind and warm person that she remembers positive experiences and, you know, remembers faces as well. And yeah, I was like,
and it wasn't an accusatory. I know
it was not. It was not. She was a delight to talk to, as you say. She's like all of her acting opportunities have been like, you know, learning experiences. Like you can just tell how much she learned from this. And like I asked her about Crossroads because that was her first thing, and then, you know, getting it on the bill and Casualty, like these little stepping stones to get to where she was. And it was just fascinating to hear, as you say, Erika, talking about the craft of everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she hugged you at the end on stage before, like, that was just very sweet.
Yeah, I know. I don't seek them out, but I will take them when offered.
No, it was very clear that she was the one that was hugging you as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, and she said, "Great questions as always." She said to me. So did she remember that from 13 years ago as well? I don't know. What I love though is that, like, I kind of fretted about that one for most of the day leading up to it, because Amanda Ray had such a good panel with her that covered a lot of stuff like Sense8 Chip. I had it on my list for what it's worth, but we only ever got to the Doctor Who bits.
Yeah.
And I had it on there thinking we might have to go to that, but she had such great answers and insightful answers, and her last answer to a question was so great that they just applauded. And I think, well, we have literally 1 minute left, but no, that's where you ended right there, and I did. And yeah, she was great. It was a nice moment talking to her.
Yeah, the other actress I mentioned was Millie Gibson, and I came away from this weekend with a radically different idea of who she is and how sharp she is.
I came away with an idea of who she is. I really didn't have an idea before.
Yeah.
And to your point there, Erika, I think that also, you know, she's a pro. She is an actress in the age of influencers.
Yep.
I think that she was very mindful on that stage, and you know, there were stories that she could have told that she didn't. I'm sure,
right?
But she was hilarious.
Yes.
And the stories that she told about interacting with Shudigatwa, I can just hear him telling her, "Babes, we can't," you know. And it was such a gift to have a Doctor Who actor so soon after leaving that the stories are all fresh. The reactions are all still a little sort of in the moment.
Yeah.
I was quite taken with her.
Yeah, she was just a GD delight. She really just was fun to hang out with. Like, I felt like we as the audience were hanging out with her.
Yeah.
She just seemed to be having a good time on stage, and she had like you said, Chip, very fresh memories of the things that she had done. So like she had some very specific things that she knew and she remembered about this stuff that she just did within the last several years. So that was kind of fun compared to, like, you know, the Fraser Hines interviews where it's like that was several decades ago. So that was fun. And yeah, she was just she just seemed like she was having a really good time with those memories, and was, because this is, you know, early in her Doctor Who convention experience, because she's so new to it, that I think she kept saying how nice it was to just feel so loved by the audience, and like she kept saying, "Thank you all of you for being here," which is hilarious because it's the other way around. Like, we're always here. You're the one that we say thank you to.
Yeah.
But she was just so tickled and so pleased that so many people were showing up and just, you know, showering her with attention and love, and it was fun. It was really fun.
A little gobsmacked that Doctor Who is so popular in America,
yes.
which is an odd perspective to have, given that we have gone from new show debuting on Netflix a couple of years later to David Tennant and Matt Smith and Stephen Moffat at San Diego Comic-Con to the show getting flushed down the toilet by Disney Plus.
Yeah.
The ups and downs of things. But yeah, you're a British actor on a British mainstay show, and you're coming to America and discovering all these Americans primarily
Thank you.
who love this show that you're making.
Yep.
It's almost nice to have a little bit of that surreality come back.
Yeah. Like sort of like be taken aback by how popular everything is. Yeah. I was introduced to her a few minutes. So I had just finished the Peter Davison, Mark Strickson, Matthew Waterhouse, Sarah Sutton panel. Great, lots of memories,
Delightful.
lots of laughs.
Yep, really funny.
Tell this to my 12-year-old self how many times you'd interview Peter Davison on stage that you actually forget how many times that was, but I have now forgotten. But like shortly after that, the fire alarm goes, and so the next panel was delayed, and so they reasoned to start that one and have a full hour of Millie Gibson, which means Millie was available several minutes before she went on because she was there at the original time. And so Jeff Elston, who was her guest liaison this weekend, just said, "You want to meet Millie?" Yes, because Millie was, she was concerned that her answers to questions wouldn't be as fresh because her and Riley had such a great panel on the Friday that was another one I was fretting because I didn't want to like duplicate everything, I just didn't do that. So I was like thinking of fresh, different ways to go about those questions. And like she introduces herself to me and stuff and like, engages and like starts the small talk and it's like, where are you from? And blah. And I mentioned Edmonton and like she's heard of Edmonton, which is astounding because when she was on Coronation Street, her and a fellow cast member did a tour of Western Canada because Coronation Street is massive amongst the UK expats and, Corey files, whatever they call themselves, on the CBC. So they did a tour, so she knew about that. And she was a pro afterwards, too. And she was just delightful. And, I talked about it with her, she started on Coronation Street when she was 14. Her acting career started at 11.
11 years old.
And she's 21 now. And so, like, she's grown up.
She's a veteran.
She is. She's grown up surrounded by adults, you know? So that's why she seems so, like, beyond her 21 years on this planet,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
One other similarity between her and Freema was they both made a point about not wanting to get stuck in a role, wanting to push their art, push their careers. Both of them were pretty adamant about, you've got to try something new. They do not choose to be the kinds of actors that inhabit a role on a Coronation Street or EastEnders for years upon years upon years, but that they want to keep moving and things like that.
But they didn't throw any shade on the actors that do that sort of thing either, which was great.
Yeah.
The Ken Barlows of the Ken Barlow's like 91 years old. Well, the character is in Coronation Street, having been there for like 60 years. Yeah. Sorry, Chip.
Yeah, but they so I thought they were great bookends for this convention of actors who made a mark on Doctor Who and want to move on and do other things, but look fondly back on what they did, and just two really strong professional actors. It was fun to see.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely was. That was my Saturday. I mean, if you're wondering, no, there's no interviews on this podcast because I was literally on stage all of Saturday and most of today, the Sunday that we're recording this, and I was spent after that. Let's face it.
Yes.
It was a lot. It was a lot of fun, and I very much appreciate all the comments that everyone gives me every year when I do interviews. They're a lot of fun to do, and it's nice that people appreciate that they'll say. So thank you. Anything else you want to talk about before I move on to Sunday? Stuff that happened, like, social gatherings, that sort of thing?
I mean, I didn't do much LobbyCon last year or the year before, just due to chronic illness and energy levels. And because I've had a little bit more pep, I've spent more time just hanging out in the lobby or in the pool area and just vibing.
Yep.
it's been wonderful to just be surrounded by the joy that is happening. And I checked out the art show for the first time ever. I had kind of wandered through art shows previously, but I was on a mission this time. Our friend Katie Beth had like a hand fan, the kind that you flip open and you can fan yourself with when it gets hot. And I have wanted one of those for ages. And I was like, where do you buy a hand fan in normal life? Like, I had no idea. And I saw Katie Beth whip out hers, and she was like, oh, they have some of those in the dealer's room. And then somebody else was like, oh, they have some really nice ones at the art show. So that gave me a reason to go to the art show and wander around. And there's such a vast array of different types of art. There's paintings and drawings and stuff, but there's jewelry and pottery and sculpture and metalworking and just all kinds of stuff, geeky. There was a bag that had I gotten there earlier, I probably would have bid on. It was a crocheted bag that was just gorgeous and very soft. Yep. I like soft things. But sure enough, there were a whole bunch of fans, and I managed to. The ones that had the old school carpet were all sold out, so I did not get one of those, even though. But I got another one that was very nice.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just like, there are corners of Galley that even after all of these years, I haven't really dipped my toe very much into. And I know that there are the cosplay corners and the craft maker corners of Galley. There are people playing games somewhere in this hotel, probably right now. And all of those people are excited to come back every year and do their thing. And that just makes me happy that in every corner of this hotel, there is joy, even if it doesn't necessarily cross into my paths of joy. I know it's happening somewhere, and it's just really cool. So this year's new experience for me was the art show.
Oh, lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
lovely.
The art room was almost twice as big as in previous years, and it was full. Mm-hmm. It was full of stuff. There was literally more art in the art room than I had ever seen before. So it wasn't, they weren't stretching it out to fill the space. Mm-hmm. I was amused / terrified by the glasswork plates and glasses that had the Babylon 5 Psycore logo emblazoned on them.
The blue goblets and plates. I was like, if I could transport glassware all the way across the international border. But you're right. The Psycore logo would make it much more difficult for me to drink out of those suckers regularly.
Yeah, America's too much like the Psycore right now for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, lovely art. I saw that the masquerades and the karaoke, everything was hopping on the Friday and the Saturday. It's been everybody's got their thing here.
Yep.
Some of us were literally hopping at the dance party, probably too.
Yeah, yes. I've never been more afraid of being stepped on.
Don't know why you're lying on the ground, but that's fine.
We were having a die-in. We were unhappy with the song selection.
I understand. Apparently I was, but apparently yelling along the Doctor and the TARDIS at full volume wrecks your vocal cords for the rest of the weekend, and this is something I have discovered. So these are lessons I have not learned from Gallifrey.
There are vast differences of opinion in the curation of a dance party set list at a geek convention.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And never the twain shall meet.
Mm-hmm.
Truth.
Today was Sunday. It feels weird for me to say, so what did you think of my panels? But that's all you were around to see.
It is. I slept in as much as I had time for, which wasn't a lot, and then went to the 2 panels that you were on.
Yeah. I talked to Paul Casey first.
Oh, that's right.
On the main stage with the nice little...
with visuals.
With visuals. Paul Casey supplied some images, and I arranged them.
What does Paul Casey do again?
Paul Casey, the creature performer artist in Doctor Who throughout the years, and now he's the creature choreographer, where he basically tells others what to do. Thank you, Chip. And I was excited because I dropped off the images early on, which is why I got up early, which is why I'm even more tired today, so they could put together a little PowerPoint presentation of all the photos and stuff. And they says, "Oh, do you have a clicker?" And then I remembered, wait a second, I remember when Chip was doing a 2MTL years ago on stage for RFS, and we bought a clicker at a wildly expensive price at the FedEx shop here in the hotel, and I still have that in my luggage at all times, and it was put into action again today.
Nice.
So thank you, Chip.
I was in there for part of the Paul Casey presentation, and if there was any doubt about the enthusiasm and energy for Doctor Who, click. New monster.
Right.
Cheers and applause spreading throughout. Click, new monster. Cheers and applause. Doesn't matter what year.
Also from Paul Casey.
Yeah.
Like, he was so excited about being monsters on Doctor Who. It's so fun when the people who make the show that we love also love doing it. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed just sort of looking at pictures with it because I had arranged it a couple days ago, but I was as surprised as anyone about what was coming next when I hit the next button. So it was kind of cool to see each thing there and just talk about it, each one as it came up. But then I moderated a panel and was a guest on a panel as I faded out the weekend. How did the one that I moderated was the Disney Doctor Who one, which had opinions in it. How did you feel that one went? I'd like to know a full debrief.
I mean, it was interesting, and I feel like that topic is too big for a 1 hour panel. So you did your best to sort of keep it moving along.
Right.
But just the Disney era of Doctor Who discuss, like that's a lot. So you spent some time talking about the Disney-fication of it and the business end of the show, and that was interesting. And then transferred a bit to talking about the plot lines and the within the show stuff. And honestly, it was there wasn't enough time for anything to feel fully developed.
Right.
But yes, there were definitely opinions, and it's always interesting when you have somebody who's I really don't like this era, and somebody who's I am the defender of this era, and then somebody who's in between who's I think it's okay and it has some issues here and there. So it was a really well balanced panel of opinions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it got a little feisty, and that's entertaining.
Panels are.
There is. I got in there for that part, which felt like the airing of grievances portion of the weekend, and that's a point where we're still too close to it.
Yeah,
it's we Doctor Who fandom collectively are unhappy with how the Disney experience ended. Whether you liked the stories or not, we don't know when the show is coming back. We are looking for somebody to blame, whether it is the Disney business or the Russell T Davies show running, writing, or whatever like that. It's a bit of an open wound right now.
Yeah.
So that was the other reason that I found the totality of this year's convention so refreshing, because it is still, by and large, people wandering the halls in costumes, loving Doctor Who.
Yes.
And that gives you space. That gives you space in quieter conversations to talk about the good things that happened in the last two seasons, and just appreciating the show. But but yeah, that panel that panel was spicy. It was a spicy enchilada.
Yeah, as you said, there's a bunch of stuff almost too much crammed into one that you didn't really have time to focus on any. Perhaps that's a metaphor for some episodes of Disney Doctor Who, trying to cram. So really, it was kind of perfect that we couldn't get all the answers done in one and had to sort of rush to the finish on vibes.
I loved that one last question when you said, we've got 2 minutes left, and the questioner says, well, this is kind of a 10-minute question. And I just sort of rolled my eyes, and he says, was the problem, you all said that that there were individual episodes that you liked. Was the problem story arcs?
Right.
And I just saw your face, Stephen. You had so much you wanted to say.
Yeah, it was Jess Jerkovic who asked the question, and I just said, that's all the time we have for today.
And that was a good end. That was a good place to end.
And I scrambled to wrap it up.
That could be an entire panel right there.
You really could. Yeah. It showed. I know that, Sean Lyon on Facebook a few times on the website, this slightly diminished in his eyes, attitude towards Doctor Who might, be responsible for a slightly lower attendance count. I didn't see any of that here. I think there is a lot of very strong opinions and enthusiasm for this show. I think it is definitely outside factors that have impacted its attendance, not the actual show. I think we'll come here and argue and debate and celebrate any era of Doctor Who if we can, and given the opportunity.
I mean, there are probably there may have been some people who are more casual fans who might have come to Galley had they liked the more recent seasons better, possibly. But that's not a thing we can know.
No. And for a lot of people, this is the first, because Doctor Who's future is so uncertain. This is their first experience going to a convention looking backward rather than forward. A bit of that nostalgia piece of it. And a little bit of that is not bad. I know our friend Paul Cornell is deathly allergic to nostalgia. But this was a good time for a bit of a reset and reappreciation for everything from 1963 to 2025, and just luxuriate in the things that you loved about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have some preparing arguments about the things that you didn't. But it's bigger than one showrunner. It always has been.
It has.
Yep.
Yeah. And then anyway, I wrapped up with a lovely panel about Christopher H. Bidmead, which was just nice to talk about old season 18 Doctor Who again, which I haven't been on a discussion panel as a panelist for literally years, and so that was kind of fun to just talk about old Doctor Who again.
That was a lovely panel.
Yeah.
That is, I enjoy that era. It's not my super happy place, but just hearing three knowledgeable people talk about it, with reverence and the right amount of humor about the things that didn't work.
Right.
And it was really cool. I just enjoyed the heck out of that panel so much. Those are the only two fan panels that I was able to make it to, but I think that's still more than I did last year.
Yeah. You did go to TARDIS Talks though, as on the Friday.
My God. It has been a million years since Friday night.
I wouldn't have let you forget. Don't worry.
Thank you. Yes. I'm always looking forward to the TARDIS Talks, which are the sort of semi-academic track where everybody gets 15 minutes to really dive into a specific Doctor Who topic. And Paul Booth, who organizes the TARDIS Talks usually with Joy Piedmont, although this year she was taking a year off, he asked me to help review the submissions. So I knew what was possibly coming, and luckily some of my favorites made it on there. There was not a bad submission in the bunch. It was really just a question of finding space for however many he could. And I was there for the whole thing, and it was really fun. I always love watching people find a specific little thing in Doctor Who and dig into that. I think my very favorite one was about Doctor Who and uniforms. Shout out to listener Emma.
Right.
It just talking about uniforms, not just in an actual job context, but social uniforms and what your clothing says about you to the people around you, your social class, your social strata, that sort of thing, and talking about, does the Doctor wear a uniform? And it was a great talk. I was really excited to hear it, and it turned out to be just as good as I thought it might be. And there was even one presentation that was about the New Adventures, I think it was a New Adventures novel, Lungbarrow. And
especially for Warren.
It was about transfeminism and looms. And I was like, I have to see this. I must see this presented. And it was unbelievably good. It was just I didn't actually know much of what the heck happened in Lungbarrow. And being able to, now I have a rough idea of actually what the heck a loom is,
right,
how that story worked, what it meant for the Doctor and the Doctor's family of 40 some cousins. It was there were visual aids. It was a great presentation and got a lot of laughs too. It was that was fantastic. I can't believe I didn't remember that just off the top of my head. So I highly recommend the TARDIS Talks for anybody who checks out a galley in the future in the next couple of years.
Always good. Mm-hmm. Chip, were there any other panels that you went to, or were you just sort of vibing and just exploring the convention?
Vibing. I mean, vibing seemed to be the constant word of the weekend for everybody. But yeah, I don't think that I did pop my head in on the Bob May charity auction, and things seemed to be going very well. There were some bitter arguments, bitter bidding wars over mystery bags.
Oh.
That gives you the kind of sense of the enthusiasm there for giving money to charity,
right?
Which is always one of the strengths of the convention. But yeah, no other panels to add to the Stone Soup here.
That's all right. It's been a very long weekend. We've met a lot of people. It honestly felt like, we spoke of this often on RFS leading up to it, and our Warren and Chris's reasons, which I support, for not coming here. As a Canadian, it felt like almost we're here behind enemy lines in a little bit. Mm-hmm. We've been parachuted into a safe zone that is Gallifrey One, and parts of California. You don't see a lot of California when you're driving on the I-5, but the vibe here was one of celebration of Doctor Who, and I wore Canada jerseys every day. Mm-hmm. Got a few more heated rivalry references thrown at me than I usually get. But I could sense, obviously we're in a safe space when it comes to our sort of political leanings, and that everyone here is frustrated with and terrified and scared of the current world situation, but we're having fun and making the best of it. And honestly, like, a lot of ribbons were like based on like giving us all hope, using Doctor Who quotes out of context to provide inspiration. I mean, we're all wearing them right now in
darkness
some way.
never sustains.
Yeah.
Don't you think he looks tired?
It is one that was also thrown around.
An orange ribbon.
Yes, indeed. So
yeah, I mean, speaking as the representative of the occupied territory here, I have been feeling secondary shame and grief over the number of people who have not felt safe in coming here. And that is not likely to change greatly in the 2 remaining years of Gallifrey One.
Yeah.
Unless something really shocking happens.
Yeah.
That's the only sort of regret that I feel. I have no issue with anybody who felt that they couldn't cross the border and come here, and because that everybody makes their compromises and their calculations, but it's absolutely valid to feel like crossing the border is lending support to the regime. There's also something to be said for coming across enemy lines to say that you are not going to rob me of my joy.
That too.
And both are valid, and I hope, whether it's the post Gallifrey Showmasters shows or some miraculous thing happens within the next couple of years, I want to see all of my extended family here again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here not to support the regime. I'm here to support those living under the regime. That was my main impetus for coming.
Yeah. Experiencing joy and helping create joy for other people is in itself an act of resistance, an act of rebellion. That is one of the things that I keep seeing on social media from people who are, creators and artists, and just being like, asking each other, don't give up. We need you. You are the folks that are getting us through. And, that's walking around the art show. Like, there's the people who write Doctor Who and create it, and like these are things that are so important in times like this. So being here and experiencing the joy of it is a little bit my middle finger to
You're right.
to parts of the world that would like me to not experience joy.
Absolutely. I got some people to shut up, but anything to close as we wrap this episode up from your experiences this weekend. I want to thank the same kids, let's face it, who gave us trading cards after our Derek Jacobi interview a couple years ago. Walked up and gave me 3 blue envelopes, one for each me, Warren, and Chris, and with the number 1, 2, and 3 on the back, a la the Impossible Astronaut. Unfortunately, of course, Chris and Warren aren't here for us to open those in person. I will be holding on to all 3 until it is time to open them when all 3 of us are in person. That is how that's going to happen. Thank you to that. Thank you. Shout out to apparently all of our listeners in Brazil.
Yes.
Someone from Brazil who came by and gave us all like stickers and stuff, and didn't she's from Brazil, so English isn't her first language. Couldn't think of the word for listeners. Thank you, Brazil, for listening to a podcast that is in a language that is not your first language. It means a lot to us that we're actually reaching out to other parts of the world and talking about Doctor Who for you. So that was pretty cool, too.
One word of thanks, like you mentioned, I did release a semi-2MTL episode this weekend, called it Production Notes, just where I've been and all that. And I have, to my shock, there are people who have not deleted me from their podcast feeds,
right.
And I got some really kind things said to me, both online and just walking the halls.
I think anybody who deletes a podcast feed is doing podcasting wrong. I would never do such a thing.
But I did want to say real quick that even though I don't feel like a quote real Doctor Who podcaster anymore, compared to some of the people here, like the RFS crew and the Verity crew and Kim and Sage from Head Over Fields, I look at you all these days like you're striding like giants, to borrow someone's phrase, and that used to be, and I feel like that used to be me. It is so good to be part of a creative community of Doctor Who fans, and to just throw one episode out in a feed,
right,
and have people actually notice. It's nice to be remembered. I feel like a Doctor Who actor from 25 years ago, right, coming to the convention and having people ask for an autograph. It's kind of nice. And it's also a little motivating to try to make more stuff.
Is this how you felt last year when you recorded your Gallifrey One episode? Maybe I'll do more, and then a year passed until you did one.
Well, that is the pod fading phenomenon, although I called it more of a pod plummet.
A little bit. You're always welcome, Chip, in the podcast community.
Here.
And lots of shout-outs for Verity still, even though Verity's sort of been a mini hiatus when Doctor Who isn't on, too. So
there was a Verity Tumblr in the Bob May auction.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Yeah. Wonder how much that went for.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to know.
Yeah, don't drop it on the floor, whatever you do. It's very fragile. Yeah.
But hey, if it went for a lot, then maybe that can be my retirement plan. Just like I've still got a few Verity tumblers around.
Yeah.
I can just auction them off, and then we'll be set for life.
Perfect.
Mint inbox.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it then. Thanks to all the volunteers at Gallifrey. Thanks to Sean Lyon, obviously, for persevering and putting on yet another wonderful convention. We'll be back to sort of regular programming next week, covering all the news that happened. Big Finish had they've now extended it to 2035, their license for Doctor Who. So we'll talk a little bit about that and everything else that's happening next week as we catch up on the news. But for now, I guess that's it from the sunny poolside here in Los Angeles. So in the meantime and in between time, I am Stephen at Edmonton.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. I am Stephen in L.A.
Erika in L.A.
And Chip in L.A.
So long for now.